What's going on? This is Buddah representing the Producers Coalition / Creative Arts USA / whatever else you want me to be representing that's within my realm. You are now tuned in to #GetFamiliar with my man 31 Stacks. Check it out.
Yo, what's good? It's your man, 31 Stacks, and today we locked in with a vet. Who we got in the building, man?
It's your man Buddah from the Producer Coalition, also representing Creative Arts USA.
For sure, man.
What's going on, Stacks?
Man? Hey, man.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, my pleasure, man, for real. I appreciate your time, for sure. Man, so let's get into it, man. Excuse the sun being in my face, you know what I'm saying? But who is Buddah,
You shining,
man?
brother, you shining, that's
hey,
all.
I appreciate
you just
that.
shining, that's all.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Love, man. That's love. So who is Buddah, man?
To answer that question, well, I'm a father first.
Okay.
You know, a father, a husband, and what most people know me as is a music producer. So I've been in the music business for about 32 years, but the first 7 years I can cancel out because I didn't make no money.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Got you.
I didn't make no money. I was figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know, and in doing so, I learned a lot. And I've been pretty blessed, you know. So
yeah, you mentioned producing and not making any money, man. Like, how did you get through that, man? How did you get from that producer not making no money to that producer, you know, finally finding some cheese?
Well, I mean, my story is an ill story because I started out. My man, God bless the dead, my man LB, we used to play ball together all the time, and he had this friend that played ball. He was from Brooklyn, my man Big Ray, and Big Ray used to run with special ed.
Okay, word.
So yeah,
Word.
You know, with Ray running with special ed, me and L would go out and hang out with him and Ed and stuff like that. And Ed was gracious enough to say, you know, yo man, like y'all can hang out. Like, come on the road. Let's go do some shows and stuff, and you know, come chill. So we went on the road with them, you know what I mean? And that's when I got the bug, man. I got the taste for that life. Like I was like, I was in school at the time, and I was like, you know what? School might be out.
Man.
Not just for the summer, it might be out for good. You know what I mean?
Nah, I feel you. So that's a different type of paper right there,
yeah.
Man. So let's take it, man, before you even got to all of that, man, let's take it back, man, to before you got into the music, man. What made you want to start doing music?
Well, honestly, I love music. I grew up listening to music. I grew up listening to, like, you know, my pops, my moms, they had like a big record collection. So I always heard music. There was always playing music. And plus, you know, my family, we West Indian, so my family's Trinidadian.
Okay,
you know what I mean? So yeah, you know, my first instrument I ever played is a steel drum. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I played the pan for like I don't know, a couple years I was playing that, you know, and then I kind of outgrew that and started wanting to hang out with my friends, you know what I mean? But I was doing all that in Brooklyn. You know, my pops, they had an organization in Brooklyn, and called Sesame Flyers International, and I would go out there and I'd play with them, and then, you know, I started getting older, and as I started getting older, I wanted to hang out with my friends. So, you know, I started hanging with my friends and running the streets and doing all type of things that a kid would do, you know?
For sure. So to be correct, you from Brooklyn?
Well, originally, I was born in Brooklyn. I did some time in Brooklyn. Okay. Then my family moved to Queens. Then we moved to Long Island. And then I found myself hanging out back in Brooklyn.
Dope. That's
you know?
What's up, man?
Let's
go back to the 90s, man. So I want to talk about, you know, when you got into the game, the music game, what was that feeling like? When you first got the first few phone calls?
You talking about pre-check or after check?
No, pre-check.
Oh, pre-check.
Pre-check.
Pre-check was a lot of ramen noodles and a lot of struggling and a lot of hoping and wishing. I was blessed to have one of the greatest people on my side, my brother who passed away, God bless the dead again, my brother Dal Shamello Durant. He actually had some success in the business prior to me actually meeting him. So long story short for him, he wrote 3 songs on, he wrote parts of 3 songs on Belle Biv DeVoe's first album.
Dope.
Yeah, so he was already an accomplished writer, making bucks, with platinum plaques and all of that, doing his thing, and he wrote for Kid and Play. He wrote for a lot of people, and what happened was he was making a transition, and he wanted to go from writing records to producing beats. So I was there when he first bought his first S950 and the SP1200.
Okay.
And he was learning how to use it. But even prior to that, we used to go to the studio in Long Island called 510. 510 is most familiar for the Bomb Squad. So Eric Sadler, Hank Shockley, Keith Shockley, you know what I mean? Out of 510, you have groups like Public Enemy, Leaders of the New School, Son of Berserk.
We're talking 90s for real.
Yeah. Some big acts that went on to do big things. You know what I mean? Even Prodigy used to come through 510. From Mobb Deep.
Yeah, that's
so
dope.
It was a lot of lessons to be learned and things to watch and learn in there. You know what I mean? And fortunately, my man Paul Shabazz had a spot in their studio in there too. And we used to go in there, and Mello always had vision, man. He saw things in me that I didn't even know that I could do. Like, he saw me as being able to produce records, or even actually, I'm not even gonna say produce records. He saw me as being able to engineer records.
Okay.
So I remember one day she was like, "Yo, man, I'm going to the studio. I got to record this song." I'm like, "All right, cool, let's go." We get there, it's just me and him. I'm like, "How you gonna record and do the thing?" He's like, "Nah, you gonna record me." I'm like, "What?"
Man.
I'm like, "I ain't never done none of this." He's like, "Nah, you got this, man. I'm gonna show you what you need to do. You got this." I'm like, "All right, okay."
That's hard right there. So you felt that pressure? That was your first time feeling some type of real pressure?
Yeah, it was musically. That was the first real musical pressure that I ever had, was to not mess that up. You know what I mean? Because that was back before everything went digital. Everything is digital now, so you can do everything with your laptop and all that stuff right now. But back then, it was real to real. So I think we was using a half-inch tape to record, and you know what I mean. And it was like, it was a lot. It was a lot.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
for sure. We mentioned SP1200s, and you're a producer, you know what I'm saying?
Sir.
And what's your favorite piece of equipment ever, you ever put your hands on?
Well, speaking of put your hands, the first machine that I was able to learn and use to make money with, I would say is the Akai MPC 2000.
Word.
But the thing about the MPC 2000, at the time when I actually used it, when we actually used it, me and Mello used it, and my partner Epitome, it wasn't even a really known piece of equipment. You know what I'm saying? It was I think it was the next machine that they had after, I think it was the MPC 60, I think, or the 62, or it might have been the 60 that they was doing. And I think Roger Lynn had his stamp on those. And I think his contract was up with him, so they made the 2000. And Epitome had gotten the 2000, it was just sitting in the corner. And him and Mello was actually making beats and shopping beats. And I still wasn't like, my skill wasn't where I thought it needed to be to be like, yo, hey man, I want to shop these beats too. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want to be a part of that. So the MPC 2000 was just sitting in the corner. And I'm like, well, if that's just gonna sit there and y'all gonna be using the SP12 and the 950, then can I take that in my room? They was like, yeah, go ahead. We ain't using it.
Dope.
So I took it in my room, man, and I I did something that later became a trend with me. Whenever I want to learn something, I lock myself in the room and I don't come out until I figure it out.
It's tight.
You know, so I just would go in there and I would just work on it. Every chance I got, I'd be in my room just working with that, pull records in. I had a little turntable set up in my room. I had the MPC set up in my room, and a couple other little pieces, a small little mixing board set up. And I was just working, you know, doing my best to figure out the machine, to learn about truncation and, you know, sampling and, you know what I mean, and all of that. And what I did know when I had it, I was like, for those that don't know the MPC, when you first get it naked, there's like not a lot of sample time in it, so you don't have a lot of time. So I had to learn how to do things quick. So I learned how to, you know, record the record like at twice the speed, put it on 45, put a 33 on 45 and record it twice the speed so I can get it and then slow it down in the machine so it didn't take up as much space, and then cut up and then, you know, get rid of the pieces that I don't need.
So you're dropping gems right now, man. Well, everybody who watching, you dropping gems right now. Even today when it comes to sampling, you know, a lot of the because I got the MP.1, they give you a little more sample time, 4 minutes up to sampling, but I feel like when you sampling short, it kind of just enhances your creativity because you just got these little stabs and you trying to create melodies out of these stabs. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that just make you.
Well, what you saying that is funny because my man Eric Sadler, one of the Bomb Squad members, genius dude, man. He said something to me one time because I told him, I said, "Yo, E, man, I think I need to get some more records. I just feel like I don't have enough records to go through." And he was like, "Go through, get more records for what?" I was like, "What you mean? So I can have more samples, more sounds, more stuff." He was like, "That's cool, but what you need to do right now is you need to do the most you can with the least that you got. It's going to force you to be creative."
Yeah.
And he said, the more records you get, the more time you're going to spend listening to records.
Right.
As opposed to actually working on something.
Before we get into how you really got into producing, I want to ask you, was there ever a time in life where you felt like it wasn't going to happen? And what did you do to get through that?
Okay, well, watch this. I never felt it wasn't going to happen because our goal, when I did my first record, and just to let you know, because we talked about 510 before, another group or person that came through 510 was Ice Cube. When he left, excuse me, when he left NWA, he came to New York and he worked with the Bomb Squad. The Bomb Squad was at 510. Right. You know what I'm saying? So they're responsible for that whole America's Most album, America's Most Wanted album. Yeah, you know, it's a classic album.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
These guys have a lot of classics under their belt.
That's what's up.
But when I was struggling to get my foot in the door musically, you know, you ain't making no money in music, you gotta have a job doing something. So me and Mello actually worked as waiters. Excuse me. We worked as waiters in a restaurant out in Long Island. And every day when we pull up to that restaurant, I'd be like, "Man, I hate this fucking place."
Right.
Every day. And Mello would look at me and be like, "Yo, then this shit has to work."
Real shit.
I'd be like, "Yeah, shit has to work." And that became my motto. This shit has to work.
This shit has to work.
And like clockwork, every day we pull up, I'd be like, "Man, I hate this fucking place."
Right.
And every day he'd be like, "This shit has to work.
Right.
There's no other option. This has to work." And we subscribed to that, you know what I'm saying? We believed it. So it never really was a thought of how we're gonna do it, or is it gonna happen, or when is it gonna happen? I mean, it took me 7 years from the start of wanting to do this to make a dime. Most people will give up after the first year, more or less the second year, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth year.
Right.
You give up. Right. I could have gave up in the 7th year, but I held tight and stood fast, and it worked, you know. And we had a spot in Queens, me and Mello. We used to call it the Underground Railroad. Because mad people would come through there. Like, we'd have all type of people that was already on coming through. Because like I said, we had friends that were already in the business, and that's another thing that kind of helped me to keep my sanity, because I knew a lot of people that had already done it, so I knew it was possible. It wasn't like I'm sitting around with people that never done it, and I'm like, well, damn, how am I going to break into something that I don't even know nobody in, you know? like I said, I used to run with special ed. So, you know, that right there showed me, boom, that is possible.
No,
you know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
So Busta used to come through, Busta used to come through the crib, and we sit there, we play Tekken and shit. You know what I mean? Shout to Busta and the Tekken and the money I won. But
so you was playing Tekken with Busta, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's dope.
You know what I mean? And it was all about the video games back then. We would sit there, we smoke weed, and we play Tekken and play Madden and all that stuff, and just be creative. You know what I mean? And that creative vibe was something that we were able to continue to foster throughout that period. So my man Dinko from the Leaders in New School used to also come to the crib. He used to be at the crib all the time. So much so that him and Fab, my man Fab was Busta's road manager. They pretty much camped out at our crib. Like that was their home away from home because they lived in Long Island. And where we was at in Bricktown, Queens, was like a midpoint between where they was living and Manhattan. So it was easier for them to get back and forth to the city from by me, you know what I'm saying? By me and Mello, should I say. So they would always be at the crib. And you know, the funny thing, the night that we made the Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See beat, we were actually in there smoking, drinking, and playing CeeLo. And I was having a hell of a night. I was winning. And it's a good thing I was winning because I won so much that I took all Mello money, and he was like, "Yo, I'm done. I ain't got no more money right now. I'm just gonna go dig through these records." So he went and started digging through the crates, and thank God for Mello's moms who passed. Also, God bless her, Barbara D. She was a saint. But she also used to be a gospel radio DJ. And she had a bunch of records. She had all the type of records that the average kid growing up in the hood is not listening to.
Right.
So the record that Mello found was a record by this group called Seals and Croft called Sweet Green Fields. He pulled it out and he goes in and he starts playing it in the room. I'm still rolling dice with my man Quasi, who was at the crib. And shout out to Q. And we was playing, and Mello was like, "Yo, come check this out." So I went and I listened to the sample that he was just playing on the record, and I'm like, "Yo, that's crazy." But I'm thinking to myself, "Damn, man, we gotta go to work in the morning. What time?" So I said, "What time you gotta go to work?" He was like, "I don't know." "What time you gotta go to work?" I said, "I don't know." And I looked at him and I was like, "Yo, we can't go to sleep till we finish this. We gotta do something with this." But he was like, "Yeah, but at the time, see, before." I gotta go back a little bit. Like times was a little tight, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't bringing no money in, and Mello and the music wasn't bringing no real money in.
Right.
So the restaurant was really paying the bills, you know what I mean? And it got to a point where the equipment that we had there, my partner Epitome, he had to get rid of it because he needed to get money. So that equipment was gone, but they forgot that I had the 2000 in the room.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they wasn't even thinking about that. But so Mello was like, "Yo, so how we gonna do this? We didn't have no equipment to really nothing to program it on,
Gotcha.
right? We still had like a couple of keyboards. I think we had a Juno, we had a Roland, and we had an M1. You know what I mean? And we had a couple other little things. And Mello, I was like, "Yo, Mello, I got the 2000 in my room." He was like, oh yeah, that's right. He was like, "Yeah, but I don't really know how to use that." I said, "Well, I do because I've been messing with it." He was like, "Well, go get it." I was like, "All right, cool." So I went and I got it, and you know, the rest is history. Like he just started throwing records at me, and I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yo, let's sample this part." I was like, "All right, cool. Let's do this part. Let's do this. And then he was like, "Okay, he was like, do you have any drum sounds that you?" And I had been in my room just cutting up drum sounds. So I was like, "Okay, cool. Yeah, I got something." So we was putting them in there. And then he was like, "We need something else." So he grabbed this other record, which I will not name.
Got you.
Right? And we put it in there, and that delivered us the shakers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. That delivered the shakers to us. You know what I mean? And that changed the whole record.
That's crazy.
So
man.
We were sitting there, and we was working so fast and so furious, and everything was just like, it was like the hand of God was just guiding us doing it, like, you know what I mean? And like we just doing it, and we put it down, and we just started we was dancing to it, just enjoying that shit. We was like, yo, this shit crazy. Like, yo, it's bananas.
Yeah, facts
and
though.
What's even crazier is being a producer. The hardest thing for a producer to do is to know when to say when. When is a beat done, right? So realistically, there's probably 3 other parts that was in that record that we never used.
Wow.
3 other like some keyboard progressions and stuff like that we never used because it was more grimy, keeping it simple.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But we just danced and danced and danced, and so Fab, who was Busta's road manager, had came home like maybe I don't know 6, 7 in the morning, and we've been up all night just fucking with that record, listening to it, and Fab came home. The doorbell rang. I went downstairs. I got I answered the door. He heard the record from the door, and he was like, doom. He's like, oh yeah, doom. He was like, flip mode. I was like, he's like, yo, what's that? I was like, some shit me and Melo's cooking up. He was like, oh, yo, that shit crazy. Came upstairs, we danced to that shit for another hour with him. He's like, yo, this shit crazy, man. He's like, yo, I gotta take this to bus. Me and Melo looked at him like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? So Fab took it to the studio and he gave it to Spliff. What's going on, man? How you doing? He gave it to Spliff, and Spliff was like, listening to it like, yeah, Spliff told me this later, I didn't know. But he was like, yo, he was on it. Like he was like, yo, he was ready to use it. And then Bus heard it, and Bus was like, yo, what's that? Yo, give me that, give me that. Really, the rest is history after that, you know what I'm saying? Like, we wasn't actually there when he heard the record. We was at the restaurant, because we had to work that weekend. We was working all weekend at the restaurant. And I remember we went to a friend's house after our shift, and we spent the night there. And that morning I woke up and I called the answer machine to check the answer machine to see what was if anybody had called or whatever. And there was a message from Busta on the answer machine.
Wow.
And I'm like, he sounded very, very adamant that we get to the studio immediately. And I was like, yo, Melo, listen to this. And he was like, yo, what you think it is? I said, Fab, so come that beat, maybe this the beat. He was like, all right, cool. So, you know, but Melo still had another shift. So I left, I went home, and when I went home, I checked the message again, and then I called him, and Busta was like, yo, I need y'all in the studio tonight. I'm like, yo, man, we just finished working like mad long. Melo's still working. I said, you know, I can't do it tonight, but, you know, first thing Monday, we come to the studio and make it happen. And he was like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? And we got to the studio and I was tracking it out, and Epitome, who's our other partner at the time, he met me at the studio because like I said, I knew the machine as far as to how to program a beat, but I had never tracked anything out on it.
Right.
So, and it only had 2 outputs. So I didn't know how to split and all that stuff and get all that out. You know what I mean? Later on, when I bought my own, I blew it out completely. I upped the sample time and everything. Got the whole 8 outs and all of that. But at that time, I didn't know. So Epitome met us there, helped us track it out, and we had it tracked out by the time Busta got to the studio. Busta was actually at the he was with Rampage because they were shooting the Take It to the Streets video, the song Rampage got with Billy Lawrence. They were shooting the Take It to the Streets video. Shout out to Billy Lawrence too. Her birthday just passed.
Word up.
But yeah, man, it was a very, very surreal experience because I had been to the studio with them before, but never to work on anything that I had to do it. You know what I mean? And this was the first record that I ever sold. You know what I mean? Not necessarily the first beat I ever made, because I made some beats that I wouldn't consider sellable at the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? But once I realized that I actually could sell something, that we actually could sell something, I was like, you know what? Let me revisit some of those beats. You know what I mean? And then the one of the beats that was actually one of the first records that I ever, the first beats that I ever did, I ended up selling to Sticky Fingers for his album for what's the name of it? Black Trash, The Diary of Kurt Jones, which is that's probably one of my favorite albums overall. That's like it's underrated. Like, I don't know if you ever listened to that album, but I suggest
Probably not that album, man, but definitely Sticky Fingers, man. Like when I was coming up, I came up listening to like Busta, Wu-Tang, DMX, even like Ja Rule.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
okay.
Like Ja Rule. I feel like, and Rockefeller, period.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Since Jay came out, you know, Rough Riders, everybody in Rough Riders, man. You know what I'm saying? I like taking modern sounds, but throwing that grit up there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, shout to my man Ricky St. Hilaire, because Ricky St. Hilaire mixed that record for us.
It's crazy.
And I mean, you know, he put his foot in that mix. Like, I mean, like really put his foot. And he had some direction from Bus as well, because Bus was adamant that the shaker sounded a certain way. You know what I mean? So for a lot of that part, I was kind of like a spectator on the mixing of that record, because, like I said, I was green with all of that. You know what I mean? And I later learned that I had an ear for all of that stuff, but I didn't know that at the time. You know, I just knew that, shoot, I just sold my first record.
Right.
You know? I
was gonna ask you, man, like, what was that phone call like? But it seems you and Busta already had a connection, you know what I'm saying, playing Taken together. So it's more so your first placement, your first beat being so, like, how did that make you feel? Well,
Busta and Mello was actually tighter than me and Busta were before that. You know what I'm saying? Me and Busta had played games together and stuff because me and Mello was living together.
Gotcha.
But Mello and Busta had a tighter relationship.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Busta and I grew to a better relationship during the course of that. But I mean, prior to that, the relationship was really with Mello. You know what I mean? Like Mello and the dude L that I talked about that introduced me to special ed, or Ray that introduced me to special ed. Those two guys are responsible for, I would say, 90% of the people that I know today on this planet, besides family. Gotcha. Like their network became my network, which actually helped me to grow as a individual, as a human being. You know what I mean? So it was great. Like I remember being up in the studio and. You know, we be in one room, Mobb Deep be in the other room. You see, like, well, I don't remember what old girl's name was from LL had a show called In the House or something like that. I mean, but she was up in the studio too, like doing stuff. Like everybody, and with Busta having the status that he had, everybody was always coming through to check Bus. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was always coming through. So I got a chance to meet a lot of people, and then I saw some people that I had known from back when I was running with special ed. You know what I mean? So like Lil Sean would come through, you know what I mean? This is when he had first signed Rod Digger and Baby Sham, you know what I'm saying?
Word.
And they was getting ready to start working on the Flip Mode album and all of that stuff. So like it was a really good time for hip hop, man. There was a lot of good things going on, and I just feel extremely blessed to have been a part of that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
it was a great time, and I'm just very happy to have been a part of that.
Do you still love hip hop the same way?
Oh man, I love music. I love music to death. I love hip hop the same way, if not more. I have grown a dislike for the business because the music business can be very treacherous. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the type of thing where people love to see you succeed just so they can watch you fall. You know, and you know, there's a lot of snakes, a lot of sharks, a lot of people that like to do what I call divide and conquer. You know, they want to split you guys up so they can see who the weak link is and see how they can, you know, infiltrate what you got going on. You know what I mean? And if your links are weak, your chain gonna bust. You know, so you know, when I first moved down here to Georgia, I know I'm probably jumping way ahead.
No, it's all good.
But when I first moved down here, I was like done with music. Like I was like, I don't need to be part of that no more. And if I am a part of it, I'm going to be a part of it where I have control over whatever it is that I do. Like nobody.
You didn't want to be a part of the business side of it anymore.
Can you answer that for me real quick? Just till I'm doing something. I'm sorry.
You didn't want to be a part of the business side anymore, or is it just like the music itself? You just said, you know, I just want to venture to something else. That's what it was. Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. Like I love music. I just didn't like the taste that the business put in my mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like it wasn't a very good taste. Like just before I moved down here, I was on tour with this kid that I was working with, and we actually went to Miami and did a whole bunch of songs. We did a song with him and Busta. We did a song with him and Rick Ross.
Dope.
What's the dude named Mims that did This Is Why I'm Hot?
Yeah,
we did the song with him too. You know what I'm saying? So we was doing a lot, man. But again, my taste for the business kind of got a little salty because it just wasn't like I didn't feel like the majority of people were in it on our team, But at the same time, what I learned later on is that people go for themselves, and you got to be able to protect yourself, and you got to be able to know what you need to know. Like they call it the music business for a reason.
Right.
And if you don't understand the business, you're not going to succeed at the music. The music. So many people do songs, so many people do music. Some of the best songs, some of the best musicians, some of the best artists will never be heard because they don't have their business straight. Some of the kids that have the worst music, but their business is tight, are all over the radio. It's the nature of the beast. No. If you can deal with the business part, you can make the music happen,
Yeah, that's dope. So speaking of the business, today's, man, with all the technology and just being so accessible to having your own studios, equipment, and all that type of stuff like that, you think it's still valuable to sign to another label?
No. Honestly, if you know what you're doing, you don't necessarily need a label. You can distribute your own records. Like I could put out a record right now, right from here. You know what I'm saying? If I have the record, I can put it out right from my laptop because I have a distribution service that I can use. You know what I mean? So I don't need that. Two things that a record company can bring to you that you might not be able to do yourself is one, facilitate the cash, the money, right? They can give you some money, but at the end of the day, that money is just a loan, right? It's a loan up against whatever it is that you have to offer. So, and it's one of the worst loans you could ever get. Like it's the interest on that loan is ridiculous. It's not even something that you really would want to do. It's record company deals a lot of times, if you don't have your stuff together, is an act of desperation. You know what I mean? It's like, I gotta make this happen. I can't do it myself.
Right.
So please help me do it.
Yeah.
It's that type of a situation. But if you have all your ducks lined up and everything straight, you can make this happen yourself. And even now with social media, a lot of the marketing and stuff you can actually do yourself if your social media game is tight. You can do a lot of that stuff. It's not you might not do everything, but you could do a lot more than we could do back in the days.
Yeah, for sure. So Buddah, who's some of the industry artists you work with?
Okay, so excluding the obvious Busta Rhymes, I've worked with Mobb Deep. We worked with Destiny's Child, the original 4 girls. We worked with P.D. Pablo. We executive produced P.D. Pablo's first album. A lot of people don't know that. That came from us getting tired of people always asking us for stuff, but then not wanting to select what we was giving them. So we was like, we got to have our own artists. And when we bought P.D., when actually Fab, the same dude who took the beat to Busta, he was on the road with Busta and met P.D. And he brought P.D. to the crib, and the rest is history. We knocked out about 70 songs in about 6 months.
Damn.
And maybe a little more than that, maybe 9 months. And we was just grinding, and we shopped the deal, and that's history. Sticky Fingers from Onyx, Far Side, Pharoah Monch. Wow, it's so many.
Yeah, you got a catalog.
Yeah. Heather B, Trey Songz. How did I forget that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Trey Songz. So I used to work with Trey Songz. We used to go in the studio every night and record 3 songs a night. And I mean, when you talk about people that have extremely high work ethics, the top 3 people that I would have to name whose work ethics are ridiculous. Or I gotta say 4 people. Busta Rhymes, P.D. Pablo, Trey Songz, and Sticky Fingers. Not necessarily in that order.
Gotcha.
Not necessarily in that order.
I only can imagine recording with Onyx, man. Sticky Fingers. I only can imagine being in the studio with them, man.
Oh man, we actually helped him get his deal, his solo deal.
That's fire.
Yeah, Stick used to come to the crib and we played video games and talk and brainstorm. And to this day, I spoke to Sticky, what, was it Saturday? I spoke to him 5 times Saturday.
That's dope.
You know what I'm saying?
That's wonderful. That's what's up, man.
That's my brother from another mother, man. Like, I mean, like when you talk about real dudes, he would have to be at the top of my list of real dudes in the business. The top of my list. Like, they don't make him any realer than that dude.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nah, that's dope as hell though, man. You got any hip hop stories, man? You ever like went on tour with any of these rappers and, you know, maybe seen some things?
I've seen some things, man, but some of these stories I really can't tell too much. I met Janet Jackson. I sat and talked with Janet Jackson for a very long time, but that's a story I can't even really go too far into.
Nah, that's dope already.
I worked with MC Lyte.
It's crazy, yo.
Man, I mean, it's it's a lot, man. I got a chance to work with and meet a lot of the people that are very iconic to me. Like, I mean, like, extremely iconic. Like, I remember when we actually shut the Palladium in New York City down. I mean, when I say that, I mean, we was probably one of the last people to perform. Busta did Put Your Hands at the Palladium. I think it was the last night or one of the last nights the Palladium was in existence. And he got on the stage and he played the video like 9 times in a row. The video, 9 times in a row. And I got a chance to meet who was it? The Lox. Jadakiss was there, I believe. I want to say Styles. I know Ghostface was there. Capadonna was there. You know, I got a chance to meet quite a few people. One story, one lesson that I would like to tell you about though, something that Busta told me, and I carry this to this day. So the night we mixed Put Your Hands, we left the studio and went straight to Funkmaster Flex up at Hot 97 and gave him the record. And Flex played that shit like maybe 10 times in a row.
Damn.
Like
with the bombs.
Yeah, with the dropping bombs on it the whole time, just like crazy. But that's not even the craziest part of the story. The craziest part of the story is when me and Busta left Hot 97, because it was just me and him that went up there. When we left Hot 97, we get back in his truck. I think he had a F-150, a red F-150 at the time. Crazy system. My ears was killing me. He was like, "Yo, you like that record?" I was like, "I love that record." He's like, "Cool, I like it too." He's like, "I love it too." I was like, he's like, you really like that record? I said, "I really, I love that record." He's like, "Yeah, me too." He's like, "You know what you gotta do now?" I was like, "What?" I'm expecting him to be like, "Yo, you know, we gotta promote it, we gotta do this, we gotta do that." He's like, "Yo, you gotta forget about it." I said, "Forget about it?" I said, nigga, you've had hits already. Like, can I enjoy this a little bit? He's like, "Nah, man, take a little time to enjoy it for right now, but you gotta forget about it as quick as possible because you're not gonna be able to move forward to your next move constantly thinking about this record. You have to go on to the next thing. It's about what you're gonna do next." I told, like, after Mello passed, I spoke to Bus on the phone and I told him, I reminded him of that story. And he was like, "Yeah, it's just true. You cannot live in the past." And if you look at him, man, his career has been so long and so great. Like this last album that he just put out, ELE2. Yeah. Oh my God, I told him, I'm like, "Yo, that's your best work ever." Yeah. Ever as a complete package. That's your best work ever. You gave so much of yourself, you know. And people got to realize, man, like record companies or producers like Jay and I or the Coalition, we're not looking for rappers or singers. We're looking for personalities that can actually do those things. If you have a personality, you have something that's marketable, something that people want to get to know, that's what's gonna take you to the next level. Not just singing a song or rapping a song, because if you do that, it's cool, but there's no real interest or no separation between you and the next person that's just rapping a song.
Right.
You know, what is
right.
the story is what is around you that people can gravitate to, that people are gonna wanna, you know, take interest in. You know what I mean? And when you can take interest in something or somebody, then they have a story to tell. And that's what people dig into. You know? That's why 50 was so successful. You know what I mean?
His story, yeah.
His story was killer, and his personality. And look, the man was so smart. Look how he, I say was, the man is so smart. Look how he gravitated to all these other endeavors that he's been able to take on since then.
No,
you know,
sure.
I met 50 one time, and it was actually I was in the studio working with Sticky Fingers, and he came in, and you know they was chopping it up or whatever. You know, I've had quite a few situations that were blessings to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I met and hung out with Mariah Carey.
Dope,
you know what I'm
man.
saying? Like, you know what I mean? And Eddie Griffin.
Before we wrap this up, man, you welcomed me and my guys to your crib, man. We appreciate that. It was some words that you told me and my guys to live by. It was a saying like, don't try, just do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Don't try, just do. And when you said that, that really stuck to me. Because I know I said it a couple times, just trying to you would say, no, you're not trying, we're just doing over there. I
mean, it's a combination of the team that I surround myself with, right? So I surround myself with, like I said, I mentioned earlier that I'm part of the producer coalition. So it's 7 of us, right? With my partner Mello, who passed away, there's still 6 more, right? Myself, DR Period, Annie Up, and Hey Ma and all that. My partner Chucky Madness, my partner Fran Lover, Spider-Man, who did Poison for Belle Biv DeVoe, I Wanna Sex You Up, and Joe Naughty, right? I think I named everybody. Me, Mello, Spider, Chucky, DR, Fran. I think I named everybody. I think I did. Also, when you came to my crib, my man Jay the Pro was there, right? And Jay is essential to what I do. Jay actually helped me get my love back for music.
Nice.
You understand? Jay's very, very talented dude, and we think on the same wavelength. And I think just before Mello passed, I had started to get the love back, you know, thanks to Jay.
Word.
And
Word.
With Mello passing, it helped me to say, you know what? I kept feeling like Mello was saying, "What are you doing? What are you wasting your time for? You can do this." Again, like how he said in the studio when I had to record the first song. You can do this. You know what I mean? And it just sparked me to just be on some. All right, it's time to bring it back. It's time to bring it back. The only thing is that Mello's not physically here with us to make that happen, but in a spiritual sense, he's always going to be with us. You know?
Absolutely.
So that's starts with the core group of people, and with that core group of people, our philosophy has always been like, you know what, man? As long as we're trying, we're always going to be trying. You know, and trying is an excuse to fail. You know, like anybody, if you do something or you attempt to do something and you don't succeed, a lot of people, the first thing say, man, I tried, you know what I'm saying? And it makes it easy for you to be like, okay, well, I'll just go on to the next thing. But that's just a literal excuse as to why you didn't do it. So you tried, okay, try again.
Right.
You know what I mean? But this time, instead of trying, do it. You know what I mean?
Do it, yeah.
So and then you look at what's Nike saying? Just do it, right? They don't say just try to do it.
Yeah,
they say just do it.
Yeah,
right?
Just do it.
So, you know, how many people that you know that are successful say, yeah, well, you know, I try. Nah, I did it. I made it happen. You know, and there's a very thin line between confidence and cockiness. You know, and I do my best to be extremely confident while not coming across cocky. You know, it really depends on how you look at it. It's very subjective. Like somebody hearing part of a conversation could think that I'm coming across cocky, but if you hear the whole conversation, you'll realize I'm a very humble dude. A lot of time I don't even tell people what I do. My next door neighbor, I lived next door to him for years, and he didn't even know what I did. I've worked jobs where people that I was working with, they didn't have no clue what I did.
Right.
You know what I mean? They didn't have a clue what my history was. None of that. My daughter, my daughter's 13, she'll be 14 in September. She had no clue of what I did. Like, she just would know that when we go places, people would know me.
Right.
And they'd be like, you know, she'd be like, Daddy, how you know all these people? How these people know you? You know, we go places and we see people like celebrities and people that she see on TV, and she see them talking to her father, and she's like, something's strange here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go to her school and her teachers would be like, wanting to talk to me about this, and then ask me to come speak at career day and stuff like that. And my daughter be like, why are you speaking at my school? Like, she just didn't really understand. Now she's getting a better grasp of what her daddy does, you know?
Sure.
And I'm glad that I can make her proud.
Absolutely.
You know,
man.
I'm glad that I can make her proud.
For sure, man. You know, you mentioned your kids. I know when my daughter see this, she gonna be like, no, I'm talking to you. You know what I'm saying? So that's
What's your daughter's name?
My daughter's name is Zoe and Saray, man.
Shout to Zoe and Saray.
Yeah, man. Love, man. That's the first one right there, man. That's big. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate that, man.
Nah, that's what's up, man. I mean, you know, it's all about family. Like I said, I'm a father first. You know?
I feel it.
I'm very selective with the words that I use, because words can always be turned against you if you say them the wrong way. For sure. It's never about what you meant to say, it's about what you said.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah,
so
but you said.
Yeah, exactly. What you said. Yeah, but I meant, that's not what you said.
Yes, you said.
You know what I mean? So yeah, man, and when I met you that night at the crib, my thing is, a lot of people didn't always show me how to do certain things or show me certain things. So my thing is, my blessings have come from giving back. So I give back a lot, right? Sometimes I give back to the point where it's a little bit detrimental because, you know, at the end of the day, it really needs to be a win-win situation. You know, you wouldn't want to be on the end of the stick where you were losing and everybody else around you was winning, would you?
No, not at all.
Okay, so when I deal with people in any type of situation, I'm like, yo, we can do whatever as long as you can tell me how we can make this a win-win situation.
Right.
You show me how we can make this a win-win situation, let's do something.
I feel that.
Other than that, I'm just helping you, you know, and that's cool for you, but what does that do for me? I have a family.
Right.
You know, I have mouths to feed, you know, so it has to be a win-win situation. No disrespect to anybody. I just want to make sure that we are both getting something out of what we're doing.
For sure. Indeed, man. Well, I definitely appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you too, man.
It's a wrap with my guy Buddah right here,
Quick
man.
question though.
What's up, yo?
So 31 stacks, you 31. When you turn 32, it's gonna be 32 stacks?
Nah, man, I'm forever 31, man. You know what I'm saying? Forever 31, man. You know, 31 came from the street I'm from. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm just checking. I've been blessed to be interviewed by you while you was 31, coming from 31.
Yes, 31 to 31, man.
You know
right
what I'm
now.
saying?
Just turned 31 too. So
that's what I'm talking about. So we got some time with this.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, we just getting started, brother.
I appreciate you, brother. One love, man. For
sure,
real.
Man.
Hey, yo, check out Creative Arts USA for any of your digital media needs as well. You know what I'm saying? We got you with the photography, the videography, web design, consultation, lessons, whatever. We make it happen. We make you happen. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're teachable, we're ready to teach you.